Check it out.
The 90s was prevalent for making hood movies, many of which I've broken down here. Clockers is Spike Lee's stab at the genre. It's meant to put a nail in the coffin of how the ghetto is glamorized on film. Check it out. Look, if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe to become a hood figure. That way you can recommend what movies I should do next. But for now, what's it about? The around-the-clock pressure of trying to be something you're not. This is a crime drama to the unfamiliar, but to the initiated, this is a film that examines the conditioning and effects of hardening passive males. Check it out. Characters. Rodney Little is the neighborhood's big homie. He owns a barbershop and a corner store. Too bad he's a selfish, manipulative old head that positions himself as a father figure to exploit younger males. Rodney is the plug for the projects, yet probably wouldn't be as entrenched in the streets if it wasn't for arrows. Detective Rocco Klein. Rocco is the callous cop who experiences in homicide has turned him into an insensitive, burnout cop. Ronald Strike Dunham is a young man living life as a pseudo-tough guy. Strike portrays a hardened exterior as a drug dealer for Rodney, as a way to make money and to be accepted and respected. Neither likable nor unlikable, as a hustler, these streets, he ain't built for. With an ulcer, the stress of it all is physically damaging his body. Victor Dunham is Strike's older brother. Described as an honest, hard-working man, he's an upright citizen and family man to these streets. Victor works 2 jobs unhappily to provide for a family he barely gets to see. While his brother is faking it to make it on the streets, Victor is faking it too, forcing himself to be more docile to appear more professional. And just as his brother, the toll of perpetrating is weighing on Victor until he snaps. Officer Andre Curtis is the model cop more communities need. Officer Andre has been in the community since Strike was Shorty's age. He not only serves and protects, he guides and coaches the youth. He's the physical embodiment of what the billboards promote in the film. Arrow Barnes was the local boogeyman and best friend of Rodney. He's feared because he's a heroin-addicted hitman with AIDS, who has nothing to live for. Between him and his best friend, one chose power, the other chose poison. Tyrone Shorty Jeter, Shorty is what we're going to be calling him from here out, is a kid that finds the streets fascinating and alluring. With nothing else to do, he observes Strike and his crew as they outsmart the police. Shorty wants to be like them. What's crazy is, once upon a time, Strike was in the same position as Shorty, watching Rodney. It's crazy how things come full circle, you feel me? Check it out. What I see? I would submit for your approval despite what Spike Lee has stated. Clocking isn't so much a term for around-the-clock drug dealers, but in fact, a verb for how you must always be seen as something you're not. In the movie, it's about being seen as hard, like you a tough guy or a gangster, or else be seen as weak, relegating you as prey. The film starts off with a conversation about passive artists versus aggressive ones, on how one has to be hardcore.
Yeah, man, you gotta be hard nowadays. Niggas ain't never been in jail for murder. I fucked them niggas hard.
See, in the 90s and maybe still today, for some reason, criminology was a metric to measure manhood. This film to me was an allegory for how wrong and toxic that thinking was and possibly still is. From Rodney to Rocco, both were too hardcore for their own good. Rocco's callousness comes from the desensitization of his career. Rodney's was from the duress of bad influences such as Arrow. Regardless, neither one would have been any less effective had they been softer or even more compassionate. In a way though, through Officer Andre, we observe how caring doesn't mean you're soft.
These cuffs is too tight, man.
It means you got some type of humanity. Officer Andre Curtis and Shorty's mom were not weak, but it's clear we see they care. But what I did see in this film was a lot of our weaknesses being exposed. Possibly so we can face them and get over them. I don't know. But from the patriarchal exploitation of our youth to the detrimental hypermasculine beliefs of manhood shared here. More than anything, what I related to most in this film was the frustrations of Victor. Him trying to evolve and mature beyond the mindset of a hardcore nigga was such an internal battle. Think when keeping it real goes wrong, you know? This is something I believe many of us struggle with. I feel it was that which tormented Victor and drove him to do what he did. What I see? This is a crime thriller that's a mystery with the hood as a backdrop. The plot wants you to focus on the question of who done it and why, when actually what we should be looking at is how long we gonna continue to act like everybody needs to be some type of tough guy, and when are we gonna begin to value ourselves? I don't have the answers.
Come through with it.
Check it out. Alright, here we go with a couple lessons from clockers. Lesson: you don't have to prove to no one how tough or hardcore you are. Instead, show how you about your business.
Yo, that shit, man. You got to be about business. And go. You ain't supposed to be over here.
Lesson: you can't cheat life. You gon' pay for what you do in it.
He was right. You can't cheat this shit. No. Move.
Lesson: don't think like someone with zero amounts of money. If you make 10, don't spend 10. 10 from 10 is 0. Don't be a 0. Believe in yourself. Lesson: every man should have a hobby as something to distract you from everyday life.
What y'all see? What you see?
Lesson: in business, the only color that should matter is green.
Will you take care of your brother?
Real brothers
Real brothers take responsibility for their actions. And I'm gonna make damn sure you take
don't
responsibility.
be out here poisoning your people for profit. Check it out. When you see it, this is not your typical Spike Lee film. It clearly has his fingerprint on it, such as his signature dolly shot. But originally, this was meant for Martin Scorsese. And you can tell because it has a kind of noir feel to it, with its angles and shadows, which is on par for a mystery. But when you see it, shorty like Strike looked up to who he saw was in charge. Shorty saw Strike running the bench trap. The spot where they clocked. Well, hustled, sold drugs. You know what I'm trying to say. So seeing that Strike runs that spot, that's who he mimics. Like I said, Strike at one point looked up to Rodney in that same manner, even memorizing Rodney's words of wisdom. When you see it, notice how urban communities have too many burnt out cops and not enough police officers like Officer Andre Curtis. Officer Andre is the only respectable cop in the whole
Doesn't that
movie.
make you feel good?
While I saw other cops trying to solve murders, to me, Officer Andre was trying to prevent them by stopping the perversion and corruption of our youth. Failing with Strike, but not giving up with Shorty. Officer Andre probably realized that he couldn't control Rodney's influence on Strike, but understood he mustn't allow Strike to continue this cycle. Just imagine the plight of that officer's mindset. Being able to understand the issue, yet not having the experience to prevent what's happening. Then, seeing it come full circle again, this time with the ability and experience to do something. If that's what's compelling him, he's a true hero. He's actually who other cops should emulate, instead of the hardened detectives. But why did Victor shoot that guy? In my opinion, Victor shot that guy due to the built-up frustration of forced civility in an environment where savagery rules.
Tired, that's all. I'm just sick and tired. Somebody's gotta pay. Somebody's gotta pay.
In addition, because Buddy represented the ignorance that was and still is counterproductive to our culture. Perhaps more than that, Victor shot that guy to prove to himself he wasn't weak. Like a lot of males from the hood that want more, Victor, I think, became dissociative or detached from the environment of the hood and the people in it, as that's part of conforming, adapting, and adhering to the professional world. You know, carving out an identity in order for those foreign to the hood to accept us. W.E.B. Du Bois stated that most African Americans often create double consciousness for themselves. When these identities are in harmony, it's progress. But if they're in conflict, it's war inside, as we see with Victor. I think Victor was tired of trying to balance the two. And if that's the case, when you see it, you might go, what about the ending? To me, the ending message was saying, go ahead, be who you're supposed to be. Rocco, without words, finally softened on Strike, giving him his freedom to be as non-threatening and passive as he wished, which is something Rodney couldn't be because of Arrow. Most of us just want peace. From the billboards, you can interpret Strike just wanted not to need a gun. Speaking of the film's billboards, they deliver what could be seen as the theme of the story, which is participate in the lives of America's youth, or play. If we do that, maybe they ain't gotta feel like they gotta be all extra tough. Do it for the kids and check it out. This film, I feel, is for inner city cops and amateur tough guys who present themselves as harder versions of Dirty Harry or O-Dog. It's possible that just as we was influenced to be thugs by cinema, cops too may have been just as influenced by their on-screen counterparts, to the extent that they're now out of character, just as we were. The truth is, hardened personalities usually manifest from bad experiences. Mimicking those behaviors without experiencing and learning the lessons from those experiences just makes you harder to be around, not hardcore. Understanding that about them makes them tolerable to us. The only thing to understand about someone who will imitate a tough character is that they're afraid, fake, and definitely not original. Fortunately though, none of you all beyond that. Look, however you're clocking, I hope you be safe, be smart, and choose wisely. As always, I'm Fox. This is Check It Out. Like, share, and subscribe so the big homie can survive, you feel me? Y'all be cool. Here go them extras. Let's get it. Check it out. Extra, those were not real photos of dead people in the beginning. I didn't even know this was Mekhi Phifer's first film. Spike think he funny. His character in this is drinking the bomb beer from Bamboozle. At the end in the car, what Rocco failed to explain to Strike was if he stayed in the hood, either his body was going to kill him or someone else would. I don't know if y'all noticed this in the film, but each one teach one works, even with bad information. Did anybody pay attention to the fact that Strike's grooming of Shorty literally consisted of a haircut, which is no different than how Rodney grooms and entices other young men to do his bidding? Questions, here we go. If you're asking what was up with Strike's stomach,
Man, you need to have your stomach checked out.
Shorty was playing a game like GTA, Grand Theft Auto. Was Spike making a correlation between violent games and young people acting out what they see in them? I don't know. By the way, this was 1995. Did Victor's actions justify why someone like Strike would choose a life of phony fierceness over a life being a refined gentleman? You tell me. Let me know any lessons I might have missed in the comments. And one more thing. These reviews are made possible with contributions from OGs and hood figures like you. Thank you. It's appreciated in a real way. If you like this channel and would like to see it grow, you too can support the channel by donating to our Cash App at $IamFox or to our Patreon at Check It Out Hood Reviews. For real, fam. Thanks. Take care of yourself. Be safe, man. Masked up. It ain't over, man. Straight up. Thanks for watching, man. I got a birthday coming in April, man. Aries season is on the way. I'm out.